2, 1!
The Great Christmas Light Fight is on! Ho, ho, ho!
Hey, what are you doing here again? I guess you saw my premiere episode and heard that the library is officially open. Well, that's true, and I'm glad you saw the first video and learned about us. But today I have something really, really exciting, even better than the premiere episode of The Librarian. That's right. This is not just an episode, it's an EPICsode. You heard that right, an EPICsode, because I have some really fantastic guests for my next segment for The Librarian, your official resource for the Great Christmas Light Fight. Now we're going to talk about inflatables, blow molds, wireframes, synchronized light shows, you name it, wireframes. All that stuff's cool and it'll get covered in some form today, but really we're focusing on casting, how to get on the Great Christmas Light Fight. And now is the most appropriate time for us to talk about it because casting has officially opened as of May. They are actively casting for season 14 of the Great Christmas Light Fight. And I'm so excited to probably be what I think is probably an epic moment in The Librarian. And that is I have the entire Light Fight casting team, from the casting director to casting producers to casting associates to people who work on behind the scenes and do coordination of the casting and record your casting video and submit it to ABC executives. How cool is that? That being said, I think it's time to open the library today and bring everybody in. So let's introduce our guests, the entire casting team for the Great Christmas Light Fight.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to my library.
Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, hey, hey.
Merry Christmas. We can almost say Christmas in July, but we'll do May the Christmas be with you. Thank you for taking the time to join my new show. I really, really appreciate it. Many of you may or may not know me, but I'm Brian Michael. I am a past contestant of the Great Christmas Light Fight, season 11, episode 6. I've worked with many people on this screen, and I've worked with the judges and the executive producers, and I've seen them in outside events. And I'm really, really excited to share information about the Great Christmas Light Fight because if you don't know me, I am a light fight geek. That's right. I am the light fight geek. Hence why I love being in a library all the time. So anything you want to know about the Great Christmas Light Fight, I may already know it. If not, it's right here. Or it's in my card catalog. So we're really, really excited to welcome the casting team today. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is do a little bit of an around the horn. All right. And I think the most appropriate place to start is probably with Miss Kristen Moss, since she is your casting director. So Kristen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you hope to share with everybody in the audience today in the library?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brian. And thanks for having us. This is so exciting. I mean, this is our fan podcast. We're super pumped. So I'm the casting director of the show. I've been on the show since season 2. I became the casting director season 3, and we are currently casting season 14. So Mr. Librarian could probably do the math on that one. But we're currently casting. We're looking for residential displays. We're also looking for commercial displays that really pack a punch and are a little bit different. So we're happy to accept any and all submissions at lightfightcasting.com. And we are also very excited. You know, we're always excited to work with people as they grow. So even if you're not there yet, if you're not show worthy yet, we still want to have a chat. We'd like to talk you through it and get you on the show.
So Kristen, before we move on to somebody else, I do have some questions, and I'm going to call you Jersey. So I understand you are from New Jersey, but now live on the West Coast. I have a couple questions for you. First, Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen?
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi? Okay. Hey, next one. And I don't know if everybody will get this one, but Seaside or Wildwood?
Seaside. I went to Wildwood as a kid, but Seaside became my 20s stomping ground.
Yeah, I've been to both. Of course, Seaside is a Jersey Shore town now. Frankly, we're Cape May people. It's quieter. The lighthouse is cool too. All right, now I'm going to switch it a little bit.
Seaside comes first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get to that North Jersey thing in a moment. But the next question ties back into the beach. Now that you've moved, East Coast beaches or West Coast beaches?
Well, you don't have to pay to go on West Coast beaches, so I think I'm just partial there.
That's true. Jersey, just like their taxes, it costs things. The next question requires me to play a video, so I'd really like to get the answer to this little question that everybody always asks on the East Coast. So let me see if I can get it to work here.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
You mean pork roll? You mean pork roll?
Let the debate start.
So it's a very important question when it comes to Jersey Shore. Is it Taylor ham or pork roll? And I'm not taking a side. I will not do it because these people take serious.
All right. So what is it for you?
It's Taylor ham. It is always Taylor ham. Who wants to eat something called pork roll? I mean, Taylor ham, I think, is just a nicer way.
I looked up where you came from, and I after I saw where you were in North Jersey, I was like, she's a Taylor ham, but hey, us people down here in Philadelphia, it's pork roll. All right, Kristen, I appreciate that. I think I want to move on next, and I'm just picking randomly here, but because she's so well known and because she stalks everybody on Facebook, Ajay Rochester, let's hear a little bit about you.
The stalker, aka the stalker. Well, that is true. I am renowned for doing that. But it's not stalking if I'm friendly and I have friendly intentions, and you could potentially win $50,000. So, you know, I started in season 5. I actually just found one of my first calendars the other day, and I was like, oh, it is season 5. So that's pretty epic. And I have the T-shirt and the mug and the blanket. We have got a 10-year anniversary blanket. So I feel very much a part of the team. Everybody does become a lot like family. You know, people are throughout the year, we find out about weddings and engagements and babies and, you know, and then the downside when someone falls off a ladder and we're like, can you please don't do that ever again? So, you know, it's a long journey. We have lots of ups and downs, but we love it. And, you know, kind of like what Kristen said, one of the things I really love doing is taking someone who really wants to be on the show and may not be there yet and just helping them curate something that will really help them get on the show, but also doing it in a way that, you know, you're not spending money to do it. There's many, many ways to build a display without spending any money. And so we love to encourage really great ideas for recycling and repurposing and upcycling and, you know, all of the things that can make Christmas a beautiful event without having to break the bank.
Well, that's a good thing there. The reason I brought you into view now is what's with that hat you're wearing?
It was given to me for the last podcast that I did. Ho, ho, ho. It's ho to the 3, just so we know.
Yes, I know. That is a hat that you can find at Charlie Byers' website, who runs Christmas on Crestline. If you're not familiar with it, look it up on YouTube.
I love it.
Look it up on Facebook and follow it. Do you also not have that hat because maybe, just maybe, at an industry event, you might have given your light fight hat to somebody?
No, that was an old light fight hat. I do have another light fight hat. I just don't quite know where it is right now. So this was the second best thing.
I'm picking on you because you didn't give it to me. I'm picking on you because you didn't give it to me. But before we move on, I do have one other question for you, Ajay. And let me just see if I can bring it up here.
Oh,
I think you might like it.
I'm nervous.
As soon as I find it, that is.
Well,
all right, here we go. We want to know the answer to this.
Okay.
Once it loads.
It certainly is a big bun.
It's a very big bun.
Big fluffy bun.
It's a very big fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
Because some use beef frozen from as far away as Australia.
What's wrong with Australia? Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
Okay. What's the question? Right. Where's the beef? In Australia.
What's the Beef Queen? Just a very one sentence. What's this new movie you're making called The Beef Queen?
The Beef Queen is a movie that I'm writing about my actual hometown. I grew up in a very small country town, home of the week-long celebration of beef called Beef Week, and the penultimate crowning of the Beef Queen. And I'm writing and making a movie about it. So it's my side hustle.
Well, very awesome. We wanted to know where the beef was. So, all right, AJ. I'm going to go. I thought it meant something different. I don't know, but sounds really cool. All right, let's since it's easier on the screen here, let's go to Alisha since she's right next door to Kristen. Alisha, what do you got going on? Tell us about you.
Yeah, hi. I'm a casting associate on The Great Light Fight. I believe I started in season 9. I started as a researcher. Kristen brought me on, and then I was like, this is amazing. I love working on this show. I want to learn more. I get to look at Christmas lights and talk to excited families. I really love talking to new families, getting them pumped, digging in to find displays all over the U.S. to seeing what we can find. And I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I do have one question. Besides, can you fix the battery on my mouse? It's dead. What is a breath coach? What's a breath coach?
Breath work. So
breath work
it's like active meditation, right? Using different breath patterns to like really help regulate your system, your emotions, and get a little more grounded and connected. It's really good for you. There's so many benefits.
All right. Well, anybody look up Alisha on Facebook and you can connect with her to get some breath work. Hey, before we go on to Moriah, do have some comments in the session here. So we got Jordan Maywald from season 7.
Jordan.
Carter was his judge. He's saying what's up. Hey, we got people from season 12. Patrick Mock is in the house.
Oh, what's up?
I can show these, by the way. I just realized that.
Oh, nice. There we go.
There you go.
Evelyn's the grandmother.
There's Jordan. We got to show Jordan. We also got some other people in here. We got Josh's Lights in here. Hey, Josh. Welcome to the library.
Cool.
Make sure you follow us and earn your membership at the library. Get your own library card. Hey, look at this. We got Brandon Reaver. I met Brandon Reaver at the Trans World East Coast Christmas show a couple weeks ago. How about this one? Aaron Grimes. Welcome, buddy. You've been messaging me a lot. Glad to have you here. Hopefully, for those that are joining, feel free to type in some questions as we go along and we'll catch them up. But I think the team is going to answer them. So I'll bring up some more comments here shortly. So, and then last one, Fred Hulkstra. Love seeing this. Happy to have met Tanya and Felicia at the Florida Mega Mini. That's going to be a future archive to the library, but that was a great event, a great place where I think the most ever past light fight contenders were in one place. And I was happy to be there.
Wow.
All right, let's go back and let's get the casting going so we can get into the questions. Moriah, tell us about you.
Hello. So happy to be here. I started on the show in season 10 and I love the show so much, especially casting it in the summer. I know my husband is sick and tired of hearing Christmas music all the time coming from the office, but it was so much fun. I love discovering new houses that we haven't seen before. I especially love light shows. They just bring so much joy to me. And it's such an amazing team. Like everybody is fantastic. And I love being part of the Light Fight family.
That is awesome. I'm glad to meet you for the first time. And since you love light shows, we have a lot of people that do light shows. I know a lot of people that do light shows that are trying to get on the show. And I'm going to have some light show questions. So I look forward to that. Thank you and welcome. And I appreciate you taking the time. Now let's go back and we'll get around the horn here. We already did AJ. Let's do Alicione. Did I say it right?
Almost.
We're close.
Close.
Almost.
It's okay. It's not an easy name. My name's Alicione Gonzalez. I'm a casting producer on the show. I've been on the show since season 13, so I'm a newer addition. And I love working on the show. I love the team, and I love speaking to new families. And I love the search for new houses. I feel like I get blown away every time every time I see a new display, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. No, this is amazing. So, I really enjoy working with the team and the show. And
I got to remove something here. Sorry about that. My first, we still want to know where the beef is. I guess I learned something new, Brian. You have to remove an asset before showing another one. But before I got off of Alisha, I was going to say, hey, you're a fan of the Librarians. So I kind of found this in your background. I'm going to have to go check it out, see what it is, see what it's about.
A little bit different than the show, but related, I guess. Same title. Different type of content, a little bit more serious.
But it sounds fun. All right. Let's go back and we will get Christina, who I've worked with a lot on our episode of Light Fight. Christina,
yes. Hi, Brian.
Why don't you entertain me while I try to figure out how to do all this stuff at once, since I don't have a control panel.
All right. I got you. No problem.
And my mouse is dead.
Well, hello, everyone. So, yes, my name is Christina. I'm the casting manager for this season of The Light Fight. However, in production, I'm the senior contestant producer. I've been on the season on Light Fight since season 4, starting off as an office PA, and have been fortunate enough to dip my toes in various areas of the show. But yeah, I mean, I've come back to the show every single year. I always have joy in doing what we do. I just really believe in the show and that we really spread holiday cheer and give wonderful families a chance to show their display to all of America. So yeah, happy to be here.
Well, that is awesome. And for those of you that don't know, when I was on the show, Christina was in charge of copyright, which we're not really going to go into today. That's going to be a future episode of The Librarian, so you can understand what you need to know before you get on the show to make their job easier and to make your filming be compliant so that we don't have lawyers coming after you. So it's not quite that bad. I'll also add, I don't know if it's changed, Christina was the one who sent me the paperwork so that I can accept the direct deposit for the winnings of the Light Fight. So
yes.
I liked you, Christina, and it came a lot sooner than it was supposed to, which was another tax thing, but we'll talk about that later. And then Brian, I am excited to have you on because I've always asked questions about what happens with everything we submit, who edits it, where's it go. We never really have gotten to see it, but Brian, could you tell us about you?
Absolutely. And since you got all the way around the horn, this is for you. All right.
Nice.
Just make full circle there. Yeah, my job. I love this show. I think what was it? Season 4, I think, Kristen, when I came on board, and this is such a fun show. The energy is so electric, and I love the goodies you guys say. But what happens is I get the great interview, and I've got to make all of that content and chop it down to 3 minutes of scintillating goodness so that the execs can watch it and go, yes, that's what we want. But also in making that, I have to sieve through all your footage and all your photos to complement that edit to make it as awesome as can be. And the one thing I will say is those who send us horizontal footage get an A+. Those who send us vertical footage, like a B-. So
yeah, I hear you there, Brian.
Yeah,
but I will say that we're going to cover what's required for submission. But before we even get to it, I'm one of those guys. Our Zoom interview was an hour, and the videos I submitted was about 15 minutes, plus all the other complimentary videos. So now that I'm starting to put content together for a show like this, God bless you. I don't know how you guys and gals do it. Hey, and by the way, it wasn't last because although he's late, but fashionably, Mr. Jamie Shaffer has made it into the house. Jamie Shaffer, many of you know him out there that have been trying to get on the show. Let's hear something about Mr. Jamie Shaffer.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for having me. Guys, I have been on this show since season 10, and each year I learn something new. I'm always inspired by seeing some of these just beginning light shows come on, or just static displays even come on and push themselves year after year, and now they're finally getting in that motion of almost on the show. So it's just really fostering everyone's families. I will say that I know I can't be the only one. As a casting team, we really do become part of your family, and we feel that love, and we do appreciate it when you guys include us in all your big events in your lives.
Yeah, I can say I totally agree. we were fortunate to make it our first attempt as an alternate, and I want to cover that later. But so I didn't get to work for a long time with casting, but I do know that there's many folks out there that have been trying to get on the show for a while, and you've built this relationship. And I'm sure we'll talk about growers and showers. I've heard that saying thrown around. So I appreciate that. So before we get into all that content, I just want to thank you. I want to check in on the comments again, since people were gracious enough to leave them. So let's check in on who else is here. Oh, yeah. I know this gentleman. He's a local Philly gentleman, Liam Grobe. I think he's trying to get on the show. Thanks for joining, Liam. The Slankers are in the house. Go ahead, Slankers. How'd you get here? Did your time machine bring you back? You're so old school.
Hey, they're the classic example of listening to feedback and doing it.
Yes, they are. I've heard their stories. Yeah. Devin Blanchard in the house. Welcome, Devin. Thanks for taking time today to get into us. I hope you get some good things out of here. And let me see if I missed any. Oh, everybody's going to know this one if it pops up. Evelyn Quintero's in the house.
Hey, Evelyn. Hey.
I guess when you have a peaceful meadow, a library might be your thing because it's quiet too.
Oh, yeah, true.
I love that Evelyn, when I was talking to her post the show, she talked about having found this whole new community, a whole family and a place where she could grow and teach, and it just added so many layers to her life being part of the Great Christmas Light Fight alumni. And that's the things that are the added things. It's not just about winning. It's not the trophy. It's not the check. It's, not just being on the show, but it's what you become a greater part of. That is, I think, one of the best experiences that we have.
Yeah, I would agree. That's been one of the best things in my family's experience, especially Kim and I. We've gone to a lot of events. We made a lot of. Kim says, "Do you know this person reached out to me on Facebook?" I said, "Yeah, they were on the Light Fight from season 2." Something like that. So, and we get to see people in person, so it is a great experience. All right. So with that being said, we probably should get into the meat of the content here. And I know you've talked about a lot of this on some other podcasts or YouTube channels, but it is important to cover. This is a casting episode, or EPICsode, as I said. So I think I want to start. Let's start in the beginning. So how far in advance do you folks cast for each season of the Great Christmas Light Fight? And anyone can take it.
I'll take it to start. We have 2 kind of casting sessions. We have a winter session where we're looking for new homes. We're talking families through getting really good footage of their display. We are discovering brand new houses that are going out in news articles and on TikTok and Instagram and all these different social media platforms that we have available to us these days. I mean, it used to just be looking up news articles and YouTube and some Vimeo, and now TikTok has really exploded with just, general people walking around and taking a little piece of footage, which gives us just what we need to find what, AJ, sometimes you look for the street sign and you try to find the corner of the road that the family lives on so that we can call them. So that's our winter session. Our summer session, which is happening right now, is when we go back to the families that we've spoken to at winter. Obviously, we can always find new families. So just because we didn't discover you at winter time, or maybe you didn't submit then, doesn't mean we can't consider you for the show right now. It's just we need to make sure you have footage. Obviously, you can't. Well, I guess you could put your display up now and take footage for us if you wanted to, but typically your display is up in December. And so we are right now interviewing with the families that we're interested in considering for season 14. And we're then making sure that we have the edit put together with the footage from their display and pitching them to the network. And then the network will make their decision on who they'd like to consider. So we're casting all year round pretty much.
Yeah. And I was going to, kind of a follow-up question is, you've hit on it. There's a winter casting and a summer casting. We're in summer casting. What is the slight difference between the two? Because there really is a difference when you apply in December versus when you apply now in the summertime.
I mean, for me, I feel like the difference is that during the wintertime, we understand that you're in Christmas mode, right? That's when you're gonna be able to grab all the footage possible, right? The summertime session, yes, like Kristen said before, you can still apply in summer, and that doesn't mean that you won't be able to be pushed through or anything. It just means you're gonna need to provide that footage. So in my opinion, I feel like the best time to really gather that footage and make sure you have every single thing, like you have the roof, the tree, that one side corner, right? Those little pieces that we ask you for, that you can get done a lot easier in the winter. Now, I will tell you, we have come across some really great finds this summer, actually. And we just got lucky and they had footage. So that's the biggest difference. Winter is footage, 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 and you can really capitalize on what you're already doing. Summer, you're gonna have to make sure that you organize all that stuff from the winter so you can apply. But regardless of when you apply, do it. We talk to so many people every single day. They're like, oh, I don't know, I should. Just do it. Trust me. There are so many people in these comments that can tell you that they probably didn't feel like they were ready then, and they were. So take the chance on yourself, get your footage in, and look, we're all here to talk to you.
Yeah, I would agree. My understanding was that winter footage, to your point, was the best time to collect all your video, horizontal video, which we'll cover in a moment, and get the application process started, get on the radar, because at the end of the day, really nobody's getting selected or finalized until the summertime, which is when you organize the Zoom interviews and so forth. So that is the best advice, and we'll cover what you need to submit here shortly. Now, is there anything that's, has the casting process evolved or changed since 2013? Anybody have any insights there? Or is it basically the same?
I wouldn't say that the process has changed. However, in season 13, you're all going to notice that there's only 3 families per home. So, or per episode. So each episode will feature 3 families, but it's still an hour-long episode. So we want to make sure that there is plenty to talk about for each family to fill that time. So I feel like the competition is heating up. We want to make sure that there are some DIY elements that the family can go into and talk about what they've done and how they've built things, that maybe there's a secondary or even a third reveal moment in their display. So maybe they do the backyard, the interior, a garage opening and revealing something fun inside, or even a shed moment. So it's not that things have changed, but I think as the decorator, like the Christmas enthusiasts have expanded on their displays, we've been able to expand in the show. And now we're able to focus and feature more of those elements that of the ones who are really, really putting in the time and dedicating almost year round. I mean, some of the people that we are pitching this year are currently building, and they will continue building until, you know, when and if they make the show.
Yeah, and I would say also, that's a great answer, Kristen. I would also add that the application has changed. It used to be long and detailed, and you tried to collect, in my opinion, too much stuff up front that you didn't necessarily need yet. Now it's shortened. It gets you what you need. It gets you on the radar. Apply at lightfightcasting.com. Get on the radar if you're interested. And then the casting team, one of the associates here, is going to take you forward to the next spot. So just keep that in mind. It's not hard to apply.
I think also,
That's
though, one thing, we're definitely open to more different kinds of displays. You know, traditionally it was, you know, the answer was, but where are the lights, you know? And now we're definitely like looking at displays that have really unique DIY or really crazy walkthroughs that are really interesting, that may, you know, we still want that fantastic opening moment, but there are elements that might be a little bit different in that sense. So I think we're less traditional and certainly encouraging more creativity and themes we've never seen before. We're really, really open to anything that we have not seen before. You want to do like a crazy Westworld, or, you know, anything goes, you know, a spaceship themed Christmas, aliens, you know, we're into it if you want to do it. And that's a really good way to set yourself away from the competition, you know, from being a grower and a shower, because not everyone's a shower first time, not everyone, you know, and so you can go, look, this is my dream, this is what I'm working with, and we'll work with you. We'll help you kind of realize it and help you film it. That's the other thing with Jamie I wanted to add. Don't leave your footage till the last minute, because storms happen, hurricanes happen, flooding happens, rain happens, snow happens, and then it's time to take the display down, and then you finally get the footage in and we find out that it's vertical. So try and get it in early so we can say, go back and film it this way.
Yeah, which, but goes back to TikTok so popular, and I actually don't use TikTok, but that makes it challenging, I bet. It really does. And as you put up there, growers to showers. I mean, you have contestants. You said the Slankards were an example of somebody who took 5 years. They asked for advice each year, and finally it panned off. So kind of along those lines, what qualities do you look for in a contestant?
I would like to jump off by saying, as far as contestants go, we're looking for people who are just everyday families. Like, I feel like the biggest hurdle in our jobs is kind of reassuring everybody that they are worthy or they are just fine as they are. So we don't really want anyone going into this thinking that, oh, well, I have to be this way in order to get on. That's the thing. You don't. We're looking for that Christmas spirit or that Hanukkah spirit. We're looking for that holiday cheer. And that's the basis of everything we do. On top of lights, obviously, we're looking for people that have put in that time and put in that effort to put on a display for their entire community. And they're looking for a chance to share their community with the world in turn. So I think the biggest thing is just be yourself and don't compare apples to apples. Like, it doesn't matter what you've seen before, because you could be the next the next great winner of the Great Christmas Light Fight. And I want to say this real quick. Yes, we do look for interior. We do capture interior too, if you have that that's like a reveal moment. But anyways, I saw that question in the comments.
Oh, and I actually have it down there. But yeah, I agree. Don't be afraid to apply. This is Bob Spacey, who was on my season 11, and I actually got to visit his display in person a couple weeks before it aired. So he didn't share with me what happened. I didn't share with him what happened, and we both watched our episodes a couple weeks apart. So he wasn't afraid to apply. You shouldn't be afraid to apply.
I think this is a classic example too of having something that there might be people who have great Halloween themes who have never considered, keeping it open for Christmas and changing it. And, we've had some previously in the past, some great contestants who literally had a particular, Halloween show. And then we're like, hey, have you ever thought? And then they've made a few changes. And then they're on Christmas, and lo and behold, sometimes they win, sometimes they just have a great time. And so, if you do have a really awesome Halloween display, slap some Christmas hats and some spooky features, and let's talk.
Yeah, and we might as well ask that question right now, because it will be asked, and I know the answer, but in case there's somebody new joining, the Halloween Fright Fight, it sounds like it's still on hiatus. If anybody wants to apply for that's watching this Christmas episode at the Librarian.
Yeah, Fright Fight casting is still available and open. We have not heard any word yet. I guess they could just turn around and have us start casting as soon as Christmas is done and start shooting, but I don't think it's going to happen for this year. We've not been given a green light whatsoever, but doesn't mean it won't happen next year. So we definitely need applicants for that.
Yeah, I would encourage somebody, just stick in. If you're going to do your Halloween display or your Christmas display, apply. Hey, we got some more comments.
Notoriously, we've only had a couple of episodes of Fright Fight, so I agree with AJ. If you have anything that even could slightly resemble, if you have a theme and you could turn it into a Christmas theme in so many ways, or add a couple more Christmas lights, or, drape it with Christmas hats or tinsel, go for it. If you have a huge Halloween display that you spend a lot of time on, I mean, why take it down? Just keep building into Christmas.
Yeah.
Get us some.
Yeah, and I think that's where some of the light shows have a slight advantage. If you're not doing a spooky type of display, but a light show Halloween display, they have a little bit of an advantage because it's easier to theme the props out. But yeah, speaking of light shows, Mr. Dave Castle's in the house. He's Mr. Techie in the front, Tacky in the back. Welcome, Mr. Castle. Glad to have you in the background here. I also have Doug Rolls in the house, and he's asking, does everyone have to apply every year? That's a good question, actually. Once you applied, you have to reapply again every year, even if you're a grower going to a shower?
You shouldn't have to apply every year, but if you're still interested and you haven't heard from a casting team member in a year or two and you have new footage to submit, then you should definitely reach out to that previous team member that you were in touch with, or you can submit a new application if you have fresh footage. So yeah, it doesn't hurt if you're still interested and you want to talk to us, because there are times that we try really hard to reach out to people and they don't get back to us, and whether things have gone to spam or maybe their number changed and we are not able to get in touch with you, you kind of end up in this little world where we just keep trying until, we just move you into, let's reach out at Christmas time. And if we don't hear back from you, then we just assume you're not interested. So it doesn't hurt. If you haven't heard from a team member and you are still interested in being on the show, make sure you touch base with the person you were in touch with last time, or you can send in another submission and make sure that contact info is updated.
And if they've moved on, we're all pretty available. Like, you can find me with a very easy Google search. Most of us are all on the Christmas pages. So you can find one of us. If the person you initially spoke with isn't here anymore, then our doors are always open.
Yeah, I was just going to. I was just going to ask that if you submitted originally and say Moriah reached out to you, and then the next year you submitted again, and say Moriah is still there, should she continue to work with Moriah? Should the contender continue to work Moriah, or will they get rotated around?
No, it
just depends.
Stumbling here.
We definitely try to stick with the same people. That way we can be familiar and we know your stories. Every now and then things do get switched up. I know I've reached out to Alicia's people accidentally, or AJ's, and we're all together on one big chat. And so it's okay if you're talking to somebody different, but try to go to who you spoke to last year first. And if you're not hearing from them, you can also reach out to us on the Christmas Light Fight socials as well. And we'll make sure to get back to you.
I really appreciate that. I wish my battery wasn't dead on my mouse. It works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
We can fill time while you get some batteries.
Hey, speaking of, I might do that when we have a video to play shortly. Speaking of, two questions on contestants. One, Jamie mentioned families. What's considered a family? Is there a minimum or maximum number of family members or participants that could be on the show? Not counting the crowds that we used to have, and we're slowly bringing back the actual just core members. Is there a minimum or maximum number?
I mean, I would say in the Zoom, you want to keep it at top 7, because comfortably you can't fit more than 7 people in one Zoom and have everyone get enough attention, right? I'll let Kristen speak on max for the show. But when it comes to the bigger question, what is a family? A family is anyone that is in your orbit that helps you or supports you in building your display. I always tell people, bring people on your casting Zoom who have something to say about your display, something to say, some type of role in it, because what you don't want to happen is you invite a stranger in that you just met the other night. You're like, oh, let me bring you to my Zoom. It'd be really fun. And then they don't have the same enthusiasm you have. So family is anyone that you consider close to you. It could be chosen family, it could be blood family. Any type of family, really.
All right. So what if you're a single person, a solo, like the Green family from season 11 last year? Or does anybody remember Liz Simmons from, I believe it was season 2 or 4, whose house caught on fire? Her panel did, and the lights went out when Michael Maloney was there. She was by herself. You're still looking for those types of displays as well, as long as the display is there for Light Fight?
We'll take anyone. We're not fussy.
Yes. As long as they have the lights, we'll welcome them. Welcome them. Yes.
All right.
And what undertaking is one person?
Oh, you're applying.
If you build it, we will come.
All right. Let's move on. What is the most common misconception that people might have about the casting process? Anybody have any more insight that we didn't cover on that?
That we don't have, that you have to have a bunch of money to come on the show. The thing is, there are so many different types of displays. Over the years, I've seen repurposing. I've seen just straight up DIY builds. I've seen borrowing. I know there are lots of people in the community, actually, the light community, that share lights with each other. You do not have to have $1 billion to be eligible to be on the show. What you do have to have, however, is that passion and an actual display that reflects that hard work that you put in. And that's why we always are telling people, listen, you can apply whenever you feel like, but we will definitely watch you grow. We love seeing you build on and add more and add more. So some people, when they come on the show, it does a lot. Actually, everyone that comes on the show, it means a lot when they win, because they know how much effort and work they put into that, because it was not overnight. Nobody that's coming on the show is just all of a sudden how all these lights. They've been working for years. So I want to just remind everybody, like, wherever you're at, you don't have to be a millionaire. We don't expect you to be. We do welcome your creativity and your drive and those years and those long days and long nights and those arguments you have with your family about more lights. Oh my gosh, we honor that, and we invite you to come apply. No matter how big your yard is, no matter how much you spend on it, no matter how many different DIYs, we invite you to apply. I
think also understanding the
So
process.
you just, well, I'm sorry, AJ. I was trying to time this. But can I pause you 1 second? I apologize. Because it tied in exactly to what Jamie was talking about. You don't have to be, I was talking about myths. I was going to hold this for later. You don't have to have a very large display to be on the show and even win the show. And there's some examples here. And that also ties in, there is this big misconception about you have to be very wealthy or rich. My display took 30 years to build. I got stuff in garage sales and yard sales, like people have told you. I picked it out of the trash. I have made purchases and investments, but yeah, I don't think that the issue is you have to have money or have a big display to be on the show. I really think there's room for everybody. And this is only a few examples in that video that's running in the background. There have been so many smaller style displays that have been on the show and have won the show. And if you look at them, you could tell there's a lot of DIY or things that have been collected over years. Nobody went out and made this giant investment and spent tons and tons of money to get on the show.
Well said. Yeah. I think also understanding the process. Oftentimes we'll see people going, I applied and they rejected me. And to be really honest, we don't reject anyone. You know, our no is not now, not right now. You know, we don't ever tell anyone you're never going to be on the show. And also understanding the process. If you've just had one conversation with someone, that's not going through the process. You know, we might be like, hey, you know, we don't think you're there right now, but we're happy to work with you. Let's get back in touch. You know, and kind of how Kristen said, if you fall off the radar and we don't speak to you again and you don't chase us, you know, you've had one conversation, you know, it's hard for us to be like, oh, well, they were really, you know, intent on doing it. You know, you have to apply at Light Fight Casting. You have to submit footage in order to do that. You've got to get through the process. You've got to have multiple conversations with one of the team, get a folder. Then the folder, you put your footage in. You have to get the right amount of footage. And then after that, in the summer, if you make it to the next stage, then there's the Zoom. And then even getting the Zoom, sometimes, you know, we might not pitch you this year or the next year. It's like, then you get edited and then you get pitched and then you might be an alternate. And getting an alternate, I think, is such a great opportunity, because often alternates have got on the show and gone on to win. Like, it's amazing. And also it's a great opportunity to really understand the process and kind of have a leg up on people and knowing this is how the process, this is what I'm going to experience. And so just know we're never going to just be like, no, you can't play with us. You know, we love you all. We will work with you all. And I think the Slankheads really are the classic example of 9 times out of 10, it does take you a few years, even more so these days, because it's a smaller show. There's less, you know, spots available. It's more competitive. More people are doing it. And so just understanding that it does take time. And even if it's not this year, it could be next year or the next or the next.
Yeah, I agree. And we're kind of jumping around a little bit because I did have a question. And since you brought it up, AJ, let's, I really want to ask this question because it does apply to several people would probably be surprised by this fact, but you mentioned alternates. I think I want to know is, can you provide a detailed overview and explanation of what an alternate contender actually is? It seems to be misunderstood. Even when I was chosen as an alternate, I didn't understand what I needed to do. Can you explain the significance and how proud you should be to actually be an alternate?
I think that's a Christina.
I think Christina should take this one. Yeah.
If you don't mind, Brian, I'll definitely jump in on that, because as soon as AJ started talking about alternates and it being a good thing. She is correct. It is such a good thing to be on an alternate on the show. And I personally have made the calls to tell people that there are alternates on the show. And sometimes they get a little bit like, oh no, I don't want to do it. I don't think it's, I know it's not exactly what you want the first go around, but being an alternate on the show is the next best thing to being on the show. And as an alternate, you go through the exact same process as you would if you were to be on the show, right? So depending on, like, when it comes to the onboarding with the welcome calls, when it comes to what to expect with filming, when it comes to paperwork things like that, you have a leg up on all of those things and asking all of those questions. And we prepare you as best as we can, as if we're able to like put you on the show, because it has happened with some people, right? It's like, hey, can we come next week? Because something happens and we have to do a quick turnaround. So we do prepare you as best as we can when it comes to clearances and wardrobe things. I will say sometimes we're not always able to do what we call our story calls immediately with our alternates, because so many things are happening in production and it's really unpredictable sometimes. But being an alternate is like the best thing you can do to prepare yourself for being on the show. And so many times I've seen alternates be alternates and then they get a spot on the current season and then they win. It happens so many times. It's so fun to see that happen and very satisfying, I would think, as an alternate, right? And it doesn't mean you weren't good enough this year or things like that. It just means we only have so many spots to fill, right? So that's kind of the thing as well. But we want to prepare you so well to be able to hopefully next year. And I will say we can't always guarantee a spot for the following year, but you're a front runner for sure. So, alternate, I think, is the best thing you can do for yourself.
And you had one of the nice things about the library in this book here is besides myths and fun facts and stats and statistics, you're right. I mean, alternate contender, it's a big deal. And I think people would be surprised, of a little fun fact. If you didn't catch on already, my family was an alternate. We applied in summer casting in 2022 in the very last week in July, and got a call from Felicia on Labor Day weekend. We found out we were an alternate. And then a few weeks later, she called back again and said, you're now on the show. So alternates do get on and alternates do win. But I think a lot of people are surprised, and I was surprised. I just actually learned this at the Florida Mega Mini a couple months ago, that Evelyn Quintero from season 9, episode 1, The Peaceful Meadow, she was an alternate. And then many people know the Bigda family. He is also an alternate in one as well. And matter of fact, he told me he actually, his family got selected to participate, like really at the very, very end, that production had to change some schedules and, make an alternate fit. So before we get off of alternates, maybe you could explain why do people try so hard to get on the show and then they drop out and somebody else gets in? What happens with people? And then when they do drop out, can they get back in and win?
Absolutely. And I also want to add the Hinojosa family in Bernie, Texas was also an alternate and won. So that was another 4 at least.
I liked his Volkswagen. By the way, did you know, another fun fact, they moved. So you can't see the display in the same place. They moved. So I don't know if he still does it, but they moved.
I have to ask him about that. But,
rematch.
AJ,
you guys have been talking about that for a while, and it still hasn't happened yet.
We just need enough people to have moved to new places so that then they can all do new displays. So hurry up and move, all you people.
Well, they don't have to have moved. They just have to have completely changed their display altogether.
True.
But I do want to just add on really quick, Brian, with what you've asked. There are many reasons why people, unfortunately, have to back from the show. Lots of different reasons, their own personal things like that. But it doesn't mean you're not able to do it again next year. It does not ruin your chances. Let's say you're cast as a contestant and all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. It does not ruin your chances at all. Let's say we offer you a spot as an alternate and you don't feel comfortable doing it this year as an alternate, doesn't ruin your chances at all for the next year. So I don't want anyone to think like if they get cast and then leave that, no, it doesn't ruin your chances whatsoever. Just always keep applying. I mean, unless you're an actual contestant on the show that's aired, then yes, maybe you're not able to do it again unless you do a rematch or a heavyweight. But no, it doesn't ruin your chances whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about heavyweights in a little bit, but I have some other casting questions. One I really want to think about as we helped set up this interview, Kristen. You've added Spanish-speaking casting producers and associates to the team. How has that benefited, and what have you seen as a result of it? Maybe.
Well,
Alicia,
I mean, we're just always trying to. Yeah, I mean.
Or you can go ahead. You go ahead, and then we'll let Alisha
I would
talk.
love for. Yeah, I'd love for Al to jump in, because we always want to make sure that we are covering our bases, that we are able to talk to and get in touch with anybody who has a Christmas display that, you know, any family that would want to be on the show. So obviously the US has a very large Spanish speaking population, and Christmas is very large in the Latino community. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to reach out to those people who might not see our casting flyers, or, you know, might not even watch the show because it's in English. I don't know. So, but if you want to talk to Al a little bit about her experience, and we had a family that I think Jamie was in touch with, but they primarily speak Spanish. So she's going to be taking her casting interview. And I think it's just a way to communicate better. I mean, a way to, you know, bring that community into the forefront.
For sure. I mean, I love that Kristen brought me onto the team. You know, I also speak English. I scout English-speaking families, but I have sort of that extra lens to find Spanish-speaking families or families living in primarily Latino communities. We're actually, you know, scouting families in Puerto Rico as well. And I'll be doing some interviews that are, you know, sort of half English, half Spanish. And, you know, if I hadn't been on the team as a Spanish-speaking producer, we would have maybe not been able to speak to them. So I appreciate Kristen bringing me on. And, but yeah, I mean, Christmas is big everywhere, especially for Latinos.
So I love that. Two things you said that interest me. One was Puerto Rico. That kind of lends a little bit to getting back to some kind of international. I know you did Canada the one year. I know that's been a challenge. We don't really need to talk about it, but maybe Puerto Rico. So that's interesting. Is there any potential international now that we're down to 3 families per episode, or is that still kind of off the table because of budget?
I think nothing's really off the table. We always have to bring everything to ABC. They have to approve it all, but we're just the casting side at the end of the day. So we present them what we think are the best displays possible, and then they are going to make the decision, you know, along with Felicia, Max, and Brady. They're going to make the decisions of who they would like to have on the show, and they're going to put the whole puzzle piece together. So we're the ones who are just here presenting options, and the final decisions are out of our hands, unfortunately.
That's not a problem. Al, may I call you Al, since I heard Kristen dropped a little nickname?
Yes, that's my nickname.
Why don't you give a greeting out to our viewers in Spanish, whatever you want to say?
Oh, let's say, bueno, hola, me llamo Alicione Gonzalez y soy una productora de casting para The Great Christmas Light Fight. Y se habla español. Si quieren aplicar, apliquen at lightfightcasting.com.
Very nice. I think I know a little bit what you said. Apply at www.lightfightcasting.com.
Yes,
that was part of it.
I didn't translate the show name, but I mean, you know, people get it.
Hey, we have a few more people chiming in with some comments. So let's just see who has to say and who's dropping in. Let's look at this guy here from season 8. J.R. Matos is in the house. Also a nice YouTuber on the Professional Triers podcast. I mentioned Christmas on Crestline. If you want to learn more and listen about Christmas all year long, check out the Professional Triers. They try professionally. At least they think they try. So we're glad to have you here, JR. And he did ask, so I shouldn't have said no to an alternate. He might have won. I don't know, JR. You'll have to ask Felicia that. No.
I mean, you never know.
Who else? Oh, I got somebody else here. Tom Stallings is in the house. And he's chiming in on the alternates discussion. The Big does. And, you know, we all just hung out again down in Florida at the big Mega Mini there. But glad to have you on board, Tom. Love your Facebook icon there, your avatar. She's a cutie. Who else? Did we got anybody else in here that ask more questions? Oh. Ryan, you're never too late because I talk a lot and the library needs content. So until people have to leave, You didn't miss much because we can cover a lot of things. So thanks for joining. Oh, here's somebody I'm not familiar with, but Todd and Michelle's Winter Wonderland. Hi out there from the Librarian and from the Light Fight casting team. All right. Oh, here's my buddy, Mr. Henry Swenson. Does anybody remember Henry Swenson? Also from season 11. And Henry, if you're not familiar with his episode, Henry was the big giant pumpkin. And if you follow me on Facebook, which you'll see the QR codes at the end, you can find one of my posts when I visited Henry's display and saw his giant pumpkin. I tried to do the Tanya pose on it, but I was afraid I'd break it because I'm a lot bigger. And you can see a lot of cool pictures of displays I've visited so far over the past year and plan on visiting more as we go. But thanks for having you, Henry. Also, watch Henry's Weather Channel. Henry has a great Instagram page where he follows the weather in the Boston area, and he's done some storm chasing down in Alabama and all. Pretty interesting. It's neat what past light fighters are doing. Another one I'll talk about here. Lights on Meredith. Lights on Meredith is out in New Jersey. He lives near Brandon Gress, a season 5 contender. And I went to visit Brandon Gress's display, who had Carter as a judge. And around the corner, he goes, go check this guy out. And this is somebody who I think we might see on Light Fight one day. Oh, I got to do one more comment before we get back into the questions, because if I miss this one, I'll be in the doghouse. My wife, Kimberly, listening from upstairs, chiming in, saying, hi, all you crazy Light Fight peeps.
Hey, Kimberly.
She's the
And
one that
happy
puts up with my
anniversary, you guys. Did you just have an
Yes,
anniversary?
we
Right?
just had our anniversary over.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
She's great. And if you see me pushing her around in her chair at the minis or events, come on up. I'll even let you push her. All right, let's get back to some more questions. Brian, I want to jump back a little bit around because we've had you quiet a little bit. So let me find my question. Brian, tell us how you use the Zoom video footage that's submitted along with all the interviews and the other stuff and put it together. We briefly talked about it, but is there any tips on that besides the horizontal that are else worth sharing, or should we edit videos and put them together? What should we do?
That's a good question. No, don't edit your videos. That's like the worst thing you can do, because a lot of people, when they go to edit it together, it doesn't give me the option to, maybe I need it's called handles, a little bit extra on the sides to sort of do dissolves and stuff like that. So if you're editing it and people tend to edit right on that word, it doesn't give me any flexibility. So it's easier. And plus, I find gold sometimes in the stuff that's not a straight up answer. Like if a family's answering and then it sparks something from somebody else, they can get super excited and go, oh, and then like it turns into something. And a lot of people won't see that as a soundbite, but I'll see that as something that shows personality and energy and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm looking for, sort of the abnormal moments that make it something special. And yeah, like you see here, this video, the horizontal is where it's at, because if you think about it, your eyes see in horizontal. It sees the grand scope of things. And if you picture your display and you turn it upright, imagine just how much of your display you're cutting out for me to use. So, but in the Zoom, it's just great to have like energy and enthusiasm about the content that you're talking about. It's always nice to also hear from everybody. Like sometimes, like for example, I've been quiet until now because now you brought me in, but now here we go. The same thing works for an interview. So if you've got 4 or 5 people there, let's make sure you hear at least one time from everybody, even if it's just a cute, funny little bit. That way it gives me the option to use as many people in the edit as possible. And then when it comes to the footage, it's all about coverage, because in these edits, what I do is you tell me what your display is about. You describe it. That's how we start off these edits, is what does your display look like? And if you describe it in detail, but I don't have the proper footage to sort of show off what you're talking about, then it's going to be a harder sell, because it sounds great, but let's face it, we're all sort of visual people when it comes to editing, and you want to see that footage, not just hear about that footage. So it is important to cover what you talk about and then send that to me as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's worth noting, since you just talked about it, and I pulled this from your site, go to lightfightcasting.com, and there's a lot of information there. But, what you might want to check out if you're not familiar with is a little video here.
Make sure you're going nice and slow.
Yeah.
I think we just got some footage where the person was walking through real hasty and it was real bouncy and jumpy and
yeah. See how these
I
shots
learned, I learned how to do the camera thing too, real slow and multiple up downs and left rights.
Yeah, it's just nice and steady because you want to see all the stuff.
I'm a drone shot.
Oh, drones are amazing. I know not everybody can provide those, but it really shows off. Look at that aerial. I mean, that's amazing. There it is, Kristen. Walk smooth. Smooth
Yeah,
walk.
and they're probably good for your heavyweights, I would think. Your heavyweights, want to get those kind of shots.
I would also like to add, if you are even doing any DIY projects, things like that, like film yourselves decorating, film yourselves painting, film yourselves cutting, footage, the cutouts, things like that, because if you are an alternate or if you are a contestant on the show, we do what's called self-filming footage, right? And we can always use those things either in the show or in the casting edit. We want to see how things are being made as well. So I hear like a lot of people are decorating now. If you are, film some of it. So maybe we can use it in the show or in casting and stuff like that. Please.
I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups, and people are definitely building stuff right now. Whether they're applying to be on the show or just an enthusiast that does a big display, a lot of them are making stuff now. So yes, film that stuff, submit it. It helps show the story.
Just a little hint for drone footage. I know not everybody has a drone or access to a drone, but fun fact, most local drone companies love to show off their work on YouTube, and they often offer to people to do it for free because then they get to put on YouTube. A lot of them actually make money from their footage on YouTube. So, it's worthwhile reaching out to those local drone companies and going, hey, here's a chance it could even, end up here. Would you like to come and film it? And you just give us the raw footage and you can do whatever you want with it. So there's always a way around.
Yeah. No, drone footage is amazing. I still don't own one. I plan on getting one, but we had people film for us and that was great. So speaking of some other footage, kind of going back and forth to some of the Zoom interview stuff, I was just curious, have you had any funny or unexpected auditions in your Zoom meetings? Any funny moments, crazy moments, outstanding moments? You don't have to name the people unless they're comfortable with it, but anything silly? Nobody walked on the camera with no pants on or, that kind of stuff?
We were just having a laugh about this the other day. We do love families to surprise us with rehearsed openings. But the funny thing is that sometimes we'll get onto the Zoom and we're ready to just be like, oh, are you ready? And they'll be like, M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-O-U-S-E, la, la, and like launch straight into the whole thing. And I'm like, I'm not even recording yet. So, take a breath. We've got a minute when we set up, but we love families to go crazy. If you've got a song and dance and you've got props and, and some funny little play on your name or where you're from, we love it. The sillier, the better.
Yeah. So speaking of that, if you don't mind, I'd like
the kids all popped out of a box or something. It was very cute.
That's a cool idea. So for those that have not done a Zoom interview, because I'm the librarian, here's just a little short. Our video, we had Sharon Houston as our casting associate, who I see is not on the crew this year, but she was fantastic when she worked with us. And we had an hour interview. Here's just a few minutes, not even minutes, a little bit clipped down, just so you can see what it may be like. And it doesn't have to be fancy. So let me share it.
Recording in progress. When did you start doing the Christmas?
We bought our first house in '98, and that's when I started collecting items.
When does a Christmas lighting bug bite you?
I grew up in an apartment all my life. This is my very first display in the apartment.
Each year, it's bigger and better every year.
I started adding my animatronics, and this is some of my Peanuts characters I made from scratch. And this is Frank. Here's Linus.
Tell me why you would win your episode if you guys got on the show.
I think there's a couple reasons why we would win the Great Christmas Light Fight. First of all, I think we have an outstanding display. There's a lot of passion behind it. There are a lot of elements that appeal to everybody. I think we just have a lot of fun stuff that shows Christmas spirit and creates a lot of memories. 2, 4, 6, 8. We make Christmas really great. The Michaels, go Light Fight! Bye. Merry Christmas. All right. I hope you don't mind me that I shared some of that, but just kind of shows you what you need to do. One, decorate your set, make it festive. That was the advice from the Light Fight team when we did our interview. They're going to try to get you to come up with a potential theme. They're going to ask you how you got into Christmas. So I don't know, just some fun stuff. And I'm sure people have done some more crazy or elaborate stuff. My point is, don't be afraid. It's just like you're talking to somebody in front of you.
Yes, and your cheer was excellent. That's what we're looking for. That's the kind of stuff that opens the edit and grabs, because you want to grab their attention right from that go. When they hit play, the first thing you want to get them with is a cute little cheer like that. Bravo.
I think Sharon was going to give us something, and we made up our own. Go figure.
Hey, you guys are the creative minds behind all of this. We can only just assist.
That's right.
But if you do get stuck, we will help you. So don't feel too much pressure to be creative. Often, if you haven't come up with something, we'll work with you and we'll help you do it. And, you do it a couple of times. Everybody does a few goes. So don't stress too much about it. We got you. Our goal is to make you look as fantastic as possible and give you the best possible chance at getting on. That's all we want. We want to make your Great Christmas Light Fight dreams come true.
100%.
That's awesome. And you made mine and my family's come true. More questions, and then I'll check and see if there's any questions in the comments. But does casting prioritize certain regions of the country or decoration styles, light shows, traditional? Does any of that come into the casting side on how you make a determination, or is that more on the backside with ABC and executive producers?
Yeah, it's all on the backside with ABC. I'm pretty much the one who's like making the final decision of who should be pitched to the network. And, based on maybe what we're missing in pitch 1, we may towards the tail end of casting have to fill some holes that we're missing so that we can give a rounded casting. So we may pinpoint certain areas because we didn't get to offer it up in the first round or whatever. So there are times where we're targeting our search because we're trying to fill a gap. But no, the final selections are based on many different factors, really, that Felicia and the executives have going on. And so, we will target the searches, but they're for basically to round everything out.
Okay. That's fair. Hold on. I'm trying to.
Oh, I wanted to, if you have a little moment, I wanted to, because I feel like you had asked, are there any false, what was it? Were there any false anything that people...
I'm trying to figure out where you're going.
Think are still happening right now, but are not happening.
Oh, okay.
We've reached out to families who think that you still have to get everything up in 3 weeks, and that's not the case. You have as long as you'd like to get your display up and running. We also have families who we've spoken to, and these were all kind of rules in the beginning. I think it was season 1 where they had a 3-week timeline, and that went away after the first season. But we have spoken to families who think that we're still having them decorate and the big reveals happening in August or September, which it did until season 6. But now all the reveals happen in November, which is great and very close to Christmas. So that, and then there are other families who believe that there's a curse on people who are on the show and that their displays just magically disappear after they've participated on the show. And in my experience, listen, doing these decorating your home to the extent that you have decorated your home for this many years, once you get on a show where you've been able to showcase probably the best your display will ever look, some families decide that they'd like to take that year to retire. And it has nothing to do with a curse. It has nothing to do with us. I believe that these families have just said, you know what? we've taken it as far as we can take it. And now we'd like to go out and maybe visit other people's displays at Christmas time. And maybe it'll come back, maybe not. But so I'm just wanting to put that out there. Some of these false misconceptions that have been floating around.
And we film at Christmas time. We don't film in like, what was it, September? And it used to be September, August, September, and that's
now it's November.
Yeah,
it's November, so it's still, you know, some may consider
December.
that early. Yeah.
So no, those myths have been going around, and no matter how much we address them, they still come up. So it's worth noting. You know, speaking of myths, I do have one other myth. There's always this myth that you need to have a castle or a pirate ship to be on the show. So let me entertain you with a little something about castles and pirate ships. So let me cue this up here. Now we're talking castles, not the Castle family that was, you know, techie in the front or tacky in the back. Not those kind of castles. I'm talking about the castles that you see and you picture other folks potentially building around their houses. And here's a bunch of them. Believe it or not, that's just a few. These are families that have had castles featured on their episodes. The green ones have won, the red ones have lost. By the way, these two guys are probably not fans of castles. The Bet George family and the Johnson family have gone on to be some mega people in the lighting industry. And they happen to have been against each other on the same episode and lost out to a castle. So you don't have to have a castle. You don't have to have a pirate ship. But if you do have a boat like the Sablick family had, it might have helped. I don't know. By the way, they visited our display too. So I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, that's all I got on castles and pirate ships. You don't need one.
Definitely don't need one.
I do like
the castle.
That's pretty great. I like that Santa was driving the boat too.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm looking for something else. Do you have to have a story to be on the show, or how do stories evolve on the show? Anybody want to take that?
I mean, everyone has a story. I don't think you do a display and don't have a story. So we're just telling yours. I don't know if anybody. It's funny because I feel like people have said that a lot, and I'm like, I'm sorry that someone else's, you know, like bad experience that led them to decorate for Christmas lights. I mean, that's their story. You know, we're not fabricating anything for the show whatsoever, but it just so happens that a lot of times people decorate their homes or they start dedicating themselves to something after maybe a loved one passes away or in order to take over for someone who can't do it anymore. And those are beautiful stories. It does not, you know, it doesn't mean that you have to have had a tragedy in your life in order to be on the show. Not at all.
Yeah. And I don't think everybody was looking for sad stories. I just meant in general, some people, I guess, feel when they get on the show and they've watched the history of the show since 2013, that they're like, man, I want to apply, but I don't have a story. And it doesn't have to be a sad story. It could be happy. I think it's more about not necessarily a story, but it's really coming up with what that theme is. And that becomes probably your main story. That's my opinion.
Anything can be a theme, you know, anything. Even if you've got a traditional store-bought display, you can create little sections and you can have a little storybook walkthrough. You can have a little scavenger hunt. You know, there's lots of ways that you can weave a story into it. And you know, the fact that we've only got 3 per episode now, we want to be able to get to know the family more. We want to know how you made things and where you got them from and the story of how even that evolved and why that evolved. So everyone has a story, but we can help you develop how you tell that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to add on. And if you're speaking specifically on themes like gingerbread house, elf schools, things like that, like, no, you don't necessarily have to have a Candyland theme, you know, those kinds of things. It's just fun. It's just like an extra element. But I think that's where the producing team in the field, like, they are very good at telling your story the way you want to do it and helping add a little pizzazz here or there, right? But we just want to make sure and I feel like we do a good job on showing the family's authentic selves, their reasoning on why they, you know, decorate for Christmas and why they spread this cheer in their community. But I don't want that to discourage anyone saying, I don't have a theme or I don't have a story. We'll find it. And also you do. As Kristen said, and as AJ said, like, you do have your story. It's our job to help you tell it, right?
Great points. So you're all casting associates. You don't work on Christmas all year long like a lot of us do work on our displays, but you're thinking about it. I'm sure you do. I'm curious, have any of you had any experience that you've cast somebody on Light Fight and then actually cast that same family on another show, whether it's a Fremantle show or not?
Not yet. Not yet.
I've pitched someone from Light Fight for I think a game show before, because I was casting a few game shows in the past, and they didn't quite get on. They can always reapply, but it was I'm not sure if they would feel comfortable sharing, but anyways, it was a really fun personality who had been on Light Fight, and I was like, this person would also be amazing for a game show, because I work freelance in casting as well, and with Kristen a lot.
I did send someone's 23-year-old son to The Bachelorette casting. I did. Do you remember that family, Kristen? They were very sporty.
Oh, yes. I know. Oh, my God. But they didn't get on, did they?
No, they decided not to get on. They would have got on.
Got it.
They decided that they didn't want to move forward with it, but yeah.
I would apply for The Bachelor, but I'm already taken.
However, one thing I will say, Kristen and I did a Light Fight Instagram live a couple of months ago, and I was casting Outlast on Netflix, and we had a couple of people come in who are looking pretty good to possibly be on that show. So, you know, it's all swings and roundabouts.
Well,
and Brian,
I have some experience.
Jamie's waiting to come back in. You can let Jamie back.
Oh, did he drop off? I saw him ghosted down there, and I thought he just
he just got popping back up. You know,
I didn't go hide. You know, I didn't go hide. I'm here. I'm light fighting. I love all of this. Okay.
The chaos.
Hey, but if you will entertain me for a second, I asked that question for a reason, and I'll have a little story to tell here. So, believe it or not, I didn't help cast somebody, but I do know somebody on Light Fight who not only was on the show, I went to the filming of their show, and they went on to a game show, which was a Fremantle game show. Check this out.
Oh, a castle. There's a castle.
Yeah.
What is going on here? It was nuts.
There's me and my daughter. This is the Drellick family out of Harleysville, PA. Tanya's first season. That's me visiting him at his display about 2 years ago. He was 3 miles from me. And then they were on this show.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to the feud, everybody. The Drellick family won the game. You need 62 to win.
Wait till you see this.
Focus, relax so we can get there. Name a part of the leg from the ankle up.
Knee.
Try again.
Hip.
We need 5 points. $20,000. You said as far away as you can get from the ankle, the hip. Survey said.
Oh, and I just happened to see them at the Trans World East Coast Christmas show a couple weeks ago.
Me was the #1 answer.
So anyway, I thought that was fun.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Is everybody doing good on time? We've got a couple more questions if you want to keep going. Everybody's good. I know Kristen's got kids to pick up soon, but I think we're still good, right?
Not too, yeah.
We're almost done. Okay. Here's an easy one. I think I know the answer, but somebody asked me, so I'm asking. Are the judges involved at all at casting?
No, we don't talk to the judges in casting at all. Actually, they don't, right, Christina? They don't see even an image of the family, an image of the display. They know nothing until they show up. They don't see anything.
Correct. They know absolutely nothing about the families until they get to set and they're briefed on. I don't even know what the field producers tell them, and I don't want to know these things. So I like to be left in the dark with some things, but yeah, they are not involved whatsoever, except for just judging the displays.
Yeah, I believe in our case, our producer, Maggie, she said that she basically just said, here's the names. And then Tanya walked out and met us. And I honestly believe that's true. So that's cool.
Well, and that's why sometimes when the judge gets out of the car and they're like, are you, like they don't know who they're looking for. If there's a big crowd, they're like, are you Brian?
Yeah.
And that's to make it fair, just so people know it's so in competitions, they're very strictly monitored. And so every contestant has to be treated equally. So if there's no information across the board, then that's equal and fair for everyone, and everyone gets their chance to share their display with their judges.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Back to heavyweights, because you said there is a season of heavyweights coming up. I might know just one of them, but I'm not going to say it, obviously. But anyway, is casting for heavyweights a different process? And the reason I ask that is some past heavyweights have been large residential families that come together. And then recently it's been more the commercial displays. So I'm just curious, how do you approach commercial organizations like the garden centers and the small amusement parks that you've had on in the past to get them on the show? I'm curious what makes them interested. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, basically the big difference between heavyweights and residential is that it's not on a residential property at this point. There was one home that was featured on the very first episode of our heavyweights episode, but it was over a couple of different properties. Like legally they were different properties, and that's why we consider them the heavyweight episode. But since then it's been commercial properties. Now, sometimes it is a family who maybe moved their display off their home and onto a city property or into a park. So we've had that element, but the heavyweight episode has morphed and grown quite a bit. So we're at this point looking for anything that's going to be unique, anything that's going to be different, and really bright. I feel like there's a lot of heavyweight displays out there, and I feel like there's one in every town. But if again, it falls into a lot of the same type of criteria that the residential displays do, except just on a bigger scale. Because if you're looking at a city park and there might be 500,000 lights, but if they're not dense and condensed and they're not, pack a punch, then it's hard to consider them for a heavyweight episode. If you watch the heavyweight episodes, they have larger than life features, and they have a crew behind it in many cases that is more than just a solo person or just an individual single family unit. So I think what we're looking for this year for heavyweights is something that's never been seen before, if possible. What we have coming up for this season 13, that you're going to watch this year, are a couple of things that you've never seen before. And that's what's making them really, really special. So the bar's been raised a little bit, even more, but I have a few in mind that we're working with that we're really excited about. The process is the same, but I basically take on the heavyweights. I mean, the team is always researching, but I'm the one who interviews the heavyweight core team and works with those teams and gathers their footage and stuff. So a lot of times we're getting professional footage because they are, a commercial display, and the team is typically not a family unit, but we encourage it if it exists. So I don't know if that answers your question, but we are excited.
I was just curious because I'm trying to picture myself, say I was the local amusement park and I'm getting a call from Light Fight. I'm trying to figure out how I fit on and how you guys approach that and tackle it. So that was a good answer, Kristen. Hey, just a couple of comments to chime in on. I don't want to forget people. Another past Light Fighter. This is Ray Banda. If you don't remember Ray is Northopolis, Wesalaco. That, if you're not familiar, was another example of a small display that made the show. And it was also an example of a display that I would say didn't have a lot of lights. It was a lot of figures, handmade figures that were very unique theme. And Ray, even more crazy, you were supposed to make it to the Florida Mega Mini, but the weather down there in Texas was crazy that day and you got canceled. But I want to know, do you really take all that stuff in and out every night, you and your mom? I couldn't imagine doing that. Some other things we touched on, Ryan's chiming back in. He did say he paid $100 to get drone footage. So if there's nobody doing it for free, somebody will probably do it fairly affordably for you. I do have, Evelyn made another comment. If you don't have Evelyn's flowers, you gotta be in it to know what it is. Evan likes to send flowers, which is pretty cool. Brandon Reaver has a question, and this has kind of been addressed. We went from COVID when there was no families. Then last year you built it up to 25 or 30, and then I think it's 50. What's going for upcoming season 14 as far as crowds?
I think that's all determined, like, as we get closer to production, that all gets determined.
Another question here, and apologize because I'm zooming through these and I haven't figured out yet how you delete the ones off that you read already. It's called IT issues. Head of dead mouse. Where was the one I was going to ask?
Also, hi, Liam. He's a newbie I chatted to this summer with a great display.
Yeah, I've been to Liam's display. I think you will like it. Mm-hmm. Liam's display is an example one that has moved, but not since he's been on the show. So he's had to reconfigure it. And one of the great things about Light Fight is you make a lot of friends. And Liam is local to me. I've been to his display. He's been to my display. He was actually at our viewing party, our watch party for Light Fight. And I think a piece of advice I'll throw out there, if you're trying to get on the show, it's not just about getting on the show. It's about making friends and mentoring. So if you enjoy something like that and enjoy a show like Light Fight, that's why you would want to get on there. So shout out to Liam.
I see Sam Finney said hi too. Hi, Sam.
Oh, was Sam Finney on there? I didn't see Sam.
Yeah.
Nick Antidorma here was asking, and I think we talked about this. Are you still doing indoor and outdoor displays or just mainly outside?
Oh, we love an indoor display, but the big thing is you can do indoor, but we do have to also have an exterior moment. We can't just have the judge open your front door. So that big moment will always happen from the street. So we want to make sure that there's that street view is always going to be Light Fight show worthy. And then if you have an interior display, a backyard display, any other elements to add beyond what the judge initially sees, like a secondary or a third reveal moment, we're excited about that too. That makes it even more special and exciting.
JR chimed back in again. And I'm curious about this one. Will you guys ever re-edit episodes to run in a new format? And I think my answer is I know you did on the Spaces and Places channel this past year. As a matter of fact, if you watch a lot of the episodes, especially light shows, I guess because of copyright, you redid the music and it is so evident on there, but it is re-edited. But it would be cool to, I know this is not a casting thing, but it'd be cool to see a highlight thing or some other new show spin with all that footage that nobody gets to see.
Well, we did the first 10, was it the first 10 season? No, it was the first 6. Oh my gosh. We did like an All-Stars recap.
Yeah, you do the All-Stars
episode.
season 6, and you did it again in season 11. And I told Felicia, please get me on the next All-Stars after season 15. So we're getting close to find out if that will ever happen. Speaking of things you don't know or don't get to experience on Light Fight, I talked about friendships. And this kind of ties to casting a little bit because myself and this gentleman did a video that is on the Light Fight Casting Instagram page. Gary Searlin from the New City North Pole Airport. We've become really good friends. And I'm trying to find a video here. I think this is a fun little video that you guys might want to check out.
How does that look? It's legit. I'm going to hit the button and you are going to go ahead and start flying the sled. This really does work. So go ahead, all 6 throttles there. Advance them for your reindeer. Yep. What is happening right now? Welcome to the skies above Newark Airport in New Jersey. That is so
Jersey for Kristen.
So Santa has to fly in all different conditions. Yeah. You go ahead and push the yellow button. That will actually.
Gary and I text every winter.
Like Santa to really fly. What?
Here's the best part's coming up next. Right.
This is so cool. I understand. If you're flying at like 4,000 feet, Santa goes rooftop to rooftop. So you really have to.
I love these Santa hat on Captain's hat.
I can't wait. Come on, just.
All right, here comes the best part right after this.
It is a little bit more tricky than I anticipated.
All right, you want to hit the yellow button there?
Somebody, who's that guy on the left?
Oh man, now that is some snow.
And look, not on the trophy. It's clean. It's clean.
Bravo,
Very
bravo.
cute. That was cool.
Anyway, hey, I was trying to make it fun. All right, we're getting close here. We've been on for a while. I want to be cognizant of your time. I got a whole bunch of cards here. I got stuff in the book. So I think what I want to do is just add a couple more fun facts, and then we'll wrap some things up with some final thoughts. So I just thought this was interesting. You know, back to you don't have to be rich to be on the show, or you don't have to have a big display. I guess another thing I want to know is there any changes on if you're a Disney or ABC associate yet about participating? Because there's a lot of great displays that fall in that category. Is that been opened up yet, or is it still a restriction?
No, I mean, for any single show on any single network, you cannot be an employee of, especially for a competition show, you cannot be an employee of that network, sister property, production company. That's like standard across the board. So
yeah, I mean, I know
changed.
there's that game show movie that we just happened to see over Memorial Day weekend, that old movie about the game show that was rigged. That's really what I think
exactly.
it is.
It all started from,
I think it was called The Show. I think it was called The Show.
It's Quiz Show.
Quiz Show. Yeah,
Quiz show.
that was it.
Yes.
Another myth I heard: you're required to spend money to get on the show. I don't think so, but I'm asking it because I was asked.
Okay. No, there's actually, and if you're looking to get cast on anything at all, and someone asks you to pay to audition, then you know it's not real, because anybody who works in our industry, you do not have to pay to audition for anything.
Oh, that's good to know.
Now, if you're an actor, you have to maybe pay to be on casting sites. That's a whole different ballgame. But in reality, in the reality space, you do not have to pay to audition for any show. We're paid to find.
So watch out for scammers. And then, you know, back to the small display, large display thing. I just think it was worth noting too. Just because you have a big display doesn't mean it's more worthy than a small display. All the displays that are featured on Light Fight are great, but it's, you know, just because there's more lights, there's been a lot of families on with large displays. There's the Markowski family, there's the Bernard family, back to season 2. Great displays, but it's not always about the biggest display. It's the theme, it's what happened at the filming. So I think pay attention to that as you're putting together your footage and things you're submitting for the casting team to put together to get you on the show.
I think the biggest thing, big or small, just make sure that when you are looking at your display from every single angle, that you're not seeing big dark spots, including your driveway, including your roof, including any walkways. Those big dark elements in your display are basically like your eye is drawn there when you're looking at the footage. So I even mentioned this at the SoCal Mini. If you're a light show programmer, program with all light instead of using like negative light or like darkness to tell your story in the light programming. Use all light, because that's what's going to show up on camera, and it's going to make it, look at that. That's almost all light. If there was, a big dark spot right down the middle of this picture, you would focus on that. So that's why we oftentimes really encourage people to light up their roof, because we're using a jib. Our camera is going to be much higher and taller than you are. So the roof is seen in almost every single shot. Same with the driveway, especially if it runs right down the middle of your house, or if you have a U-shaped driveway, you have to figure out some way to cover it, because it is such an eyesore, unfortunately, on camera.
Yeah, driveways and roofs are tough. That was one of the advice that I think a lot of people have gotten from anybody on this call. So with that being said, that's all the questions I have. I looked in the comments. While we're waiting for any final comments to come in, does any of you want to go around the horn again and just have any final thoughts on what you think we didn't cover?
I would say if you do have like a Facebook page or an Instagram for your house, just check your messages. 9 times out of 10, we've definitely reached out to you there, especially an email address that you're okay being out there in the world. That makes it really easy for us to contact you. We're not afraid to stalk, but it's a lot easier if we can just like reach out to you on Facebook as opposed to having to find your phone number and then call you and you're like, how did you find this? So definitely put your contact information out there so we can get in touch.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm guilty of back around 20, I don't know when it was. It was many years before we were on Light Fight. We were at the Jersey Shore. We came back and we had an answering machine, if you remember what those were. And there was a message on the machine from a woman saying, I'm from the Great Christmas Light Fight. We want you to apply. We saw your display. It probably was Ajay. I never know. And the reason I don't know is because by the time I went back to go do it, Kim accidentally deleted the message. So probably wasn't appropriate timing. So.
Oh, no. That happens. That happens. Always get back to us. And also, I'd just like to say, please recommend. Don't presume that we know every single display. Recommend ones, and even ones that you just think have potential that might not be there yet. You know, just send them our way, and we're always happy to have a look at them and give feedback. And we'll never give feedback unless you want it, right? Like if you're like actively, you know, tell me what I think I can do. But otherwise, you know, you can just share displays too. We're always happy to look at them.
Yeah, I mean, an example of that, and it's a production example, was I remember JR at Matos sharing. They wanted him to move his candy cane a certain way, and he wasn't going to do it. He didn't have to do it, but he did it, and it turned out to be better. So just weigh it out. You don't have to do what's being told. A personal example of ours is we had a lot of the Peanuts characters that I built, which are allowed on copyright, but they're not supposed to be forefront in the reveal, if you remember, Christina. But you said I didn't have to remove them, and my wife kept saying, well, you need to put them in the back. And I said, well, then I'll have to move them all after we air because it's Christmas time. I put them in the front, and you could see my peppermint patty and my Marcy there. By the way, Tanya liked peppermint patty, and she likes Taz too. Maybe that's a tip. Yeah. All right. Any other comments?
I would just say, well,
just
first
because
of all,
we're go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sitting in some people's DMs right now, unread of displays. So check your messages. And I want to say that confidence is key. Like a lot of times when I reach out to families with amazing displays, and we get this a lot, they're like, no, there's no way I could be on the show. And we're like, we're talking to you for a reason. You know, like confidence is always key. If we're talking to you, it means you have a beautiful, gorgeous display. We want to see what could happen and keep that cheer going. So.
Yeah, you know, I'm really excited. You know, I'm so excited. I think this is one of my favorite quotes from a Light Fight episode.
I need to tell all of my friends about this. Wait, I need to tell all of my friends about this.
Yes, we need to tell all of our friends about this.
Not until the
Is there
network gives
anything
you the
else?
go ahead.
Until the networks go ahead. I'm saying you got to tell people check out lightfightcasting.com and apply.
Yeah. Light Fight Casting. Yes, exactly. And the only other thing I want to say is alongside with what Alisha said, so we film and the judge judges what they see that night. So everything that we capture that's on camera is filmed the night that the judge comes out. That's what is being judged for the show. So the winner's determined live. So on top of the idea, you know, the some of your music may not be used. We cannot guarantee any clearances for any music anymore. So just do the show that you love, do the show that you want to do, that you want to showcase to the judge, because that's what's going to be judged upon it. When it airs, and this is for people who've been on the show or have not been on the show, don't be intimidated by what you see on the show. Our cameras are amazing. Our camera people are incredible. They are going to shoot your display. It's going to be the best you've ever seen it, Brian. I don't know if you agree, but I'm assuming that it's going to be the best, most professional footage you'll ever see of your display. So what these cameras capture is more than maybe even what you consider your display to look like. So just, you know, let us be the judge. We're used to looking at raw footage. We're used to looking at even vertical footage, and we can kind of tell what we want to see. And then the cameras are going to come and it's going to show up completely differently on ABC. So again, if we reach out because we love your display, it's because we know what we're looking for. The cameras are going to capture your display and it's going to be the best you've ever seen it. And that's what you've seen before. Why you're intimidated. But
I would, like I said, the camera adds 10,000 lights, or just like, 10,000 pounds. But the camera crew, and it has nothing to do with casting, but the crew, they're like family, just like you become like family. And their goal is to make you look the best they can. There really is. And I think they did on our part. So outside of that, there was a question, Kristen, and I won't bring it on board. You can look at the comment to see if you understand. There was somebody who applied that's trying to find out if they're assigned to it, a casting associate. Don't know if you want to answer them offline or directly. Look for that comment.
Yeah, I've been writing down some names over in the comments, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
So with that, I'd love to give you a props here. You guys were awesome today. I really, really enjoyed it. Kristen, I really got to thank you. I literally reached out to you on a weekend. I know we changed messages since being on the show, and you guys put some faith in me, not really knowing what I was going to ask. I really appreciate that. I will share, I will be at the Christmas Expo presenting a class about light fight. If you're looking to attend that event, hope to see Alisha there. I know several other light fighters, some of that are in here, will be there. I'm not going to be at the Frozen Mini, but if you're going to the Frozen Mini, look for Kristen. She'll give you some more updates and talk about what you might want to learn or what you didn't ask, or if you did not make the show and couldn't get a question in. I love this show. I hope it continues on for a long, long time. I enjoy it. I watch or do something with it every day. I told Felicia that, and I mean it. I really want to do what I can to get the word out, educate everybody, and get everybody on the show. Just like I've heard you guys say, I want to get everybody on the show as much as we can. So that's where I'm at. And it's probably time to say goodbye. So remember, tell all your friends about this. Watch The Librarian. I want to see you become a statistic in this book here. And Light Fight team, Kristen, everybody, thank you really so much for joining. And I really hope to see you in person, either at another filming, another future video, or at some local event or mega event. So everybody enjoy your day. And weekends, one more day till the weekend. Have a great weekend. And thanks for coming into the library. And if you ever need to know any statistics, feel free to reach out. Everybody, thank you for joining into the library.
And thank you to the audience.
Yeah.
Thank you to the audience. Thank you, everybody. See you on the next episode of The Librarian, your great Christmas light fight resource.